Between 1920 and 1929, the economy is very good in Chicago. The city is booming, and so is organized crime. Rival gangs divide the city into territories, which they constantly fight over using methods that can hardly be described as peaceful. Even today, some people are still fascinated by these wild times. In Chicago, the Club of the Merry Gangsters has been founded.
I would love to have lived in the 20s.
Time of, an economic boom up until the Great Depression. A lot of people were doing very well.
I like the attitudes and the social structure of the time.
It was an era, I think, of a lot of fun.
It's a period in history that I really find fascinating.
You could be a secretary by day and be a gangster's girlfriend at night. I think that would have been terrifically exciting.
I don't think I would have liked to have been a gangster. I might have been good at it, but I don't think I have the emotional makeup for it. It's a very high-pressure profession.
In 1920, a stranger arrives in Chicago. In his hometown, New York, he only managed to make his mark as a small-time gangster among the other small-time criminals. Now he is ready for something new. His name, Al Capone. In his own lifetime, he will become the biggest gangster of all time. On arrival in Chicago, Al Capone meets up with his old friend Johnny Torrio. Torrio is working for the undisputed king of Chicago's underworld, Big Jim Colosimo. Colosimo came to Chicago 40 years ago and worked as a street cleaner before creating his own lucrative source of income, a protection racket. He promised to protect acquaintances in return for regular payments. By doing this, Colosimo worked his way up to become the undisputed head of the underworld. Directly or indirectly, he is involved in practically every illegal business. The owners of illegal gambling halls live a quiet life as long as they can deliver a regular payment to Colosimo. Due to his good contacts, all those who pay for their protection are left alone by the police. Everyone is happy. The gamblers enjoy their game, the owners enjoy their profits, the corrupt police improve their modest salaries, and the king of the underworld continues to build his empire.
Hey, wait a minute, what are you doing?
Al Capone fits into Colosimo's plans and is made a debt collector. The rules are straightforward, and most people play by them. 9 out of 10 illegal gambling halls pay Colosimo their protection money. The government initiates raids to combat illegal alcohol traders. The result is a further increase in the price of alcohol. Together, Torrio and Capone enter the illegal alcohol trade, a successful and remarkable move for Capone after arriving in Chicago as a poor immigrant.
Prohibition provided Capone with an exciting, lucrative opportunity to become a millionaire. On the one hand, the potential for profits were extremely high, and on the other hand, the possibility of being arrested, incarcerated, punished, though that possibility was low. So this was an ideal market situation for Capone to enter.
He was an immigrant who was faced with a lot of adversity when he came to America. I don't think there were a lot of opportunities by way of education or job opportunities for him, so he became a criminal. He was also a victim of his family's financial situation. They were poor. They lived in the Lower East Side, so it was a ghetto. Even like today in many large American cities, there's poor areas where there just aren't opportunities for people other than criminal activity. I mean, that seems like the easy way out.
Now Capone is the boss. He can continue in the way he wants to. Al Capone's working week consists of 4 days. During this time, he resides in the noble Lexington Hotel. After a leisurely breakfast and studying the daily press, he makes a few phone calls and takes his time dressing himself in fine clothes. By early afternoon, he moves to his study in the hotel suite, where his colleagues wait in hope of advice and decisions.
He probably would, in some sense, have been a bit like a medieval king in terms of his basic workday. There were people lined up waiting to approach the throne to ask the king for something, either some help, a favor, or the king would have to make a decision in terms of who would be appointed what, giving out commissions in the army, let's say. Well, Al would give people certain positions running gambling houses, etc. People would approach Al about what should we do about beer sales? What about this? What about that? We're having this problem. We're having that problem. It would be up to Al Capone quite frequently as the boss to solve it if it couldn't be solved lower. Capone had sort of a dual life. On the one hand, there's Al Capone, the man with his wife and family in the house with the brothers and whoever else was staying there, his mother and sister on Prairie Avenue. Maybe he spent 3 days a week on Prairie Avenue looking like a typical family man. On the other hand, he was a gangster, and being a gangster involves violence because that's the only way that they have to enforce the agreements they make. So he could be a very violent individual, especially with people who double-crossed him.
I think that particular view, that view that says Capone was a psychological misfit, I think that falls down, though. It falls down because Capone was able to form some emotionally close relationships during his life. He obviously had loving relationships with his son, with his wife, with his brothers, as well as with members of his gang.
The autumn of 1929 brings the Great Depression, which gives Al Capone an opportunity to gain good publicity through charity. He presents himself as a modern-day Robin Hood, taking from the rich to give to the poor.
It was a time when people didn't have much money. Thousands and thousands of people were out of work, and they were looking for folk heroes and things like that, and they didn't like the politicians.
Capone was an equal opportunity employer. It wasn't just Italians or Sicilians. He employed people from various ethnic groups. And I think that was important. He hired on the basis of who could do the job rather than who was in his same kinship group.
The number of unemployed people rises to hundreds of thousands. Parents cannot even provide food for their own children. Al Capone is one of the first to set up a soup kitchen. Again, Capone receives favorable press.
The guy did a heck of a lot of good for the city of Chicago. During the Depression, he built food stations for the poor people. They had their meals every day, all over the city.
Capone certainly paid to run a soup kitchen on South State Street, just south of the Loop, the downtown area, in Chicago in 1929, 1930. I think that was more of a public relations ploy. He was, going to trial for income tax evasion, and it wasn't long thereafter that the kitchen was closed. So I think this was a way to try and show to the public what a good guy Al Capone was. It wasn't that unemployment went away when they closed the soup kitchens. It was that I believe the trial had begun, and there wasn't anything more to be done on the public relations side.
Capone's involvement in charity can no longer help him. Behind the scenes, the authorities have already collected a vast amount of material against him. Nevertheless, they are not able to prove him guilty of a single crime.
The Illinois Crime Survey, which was published in 1929, concluded that the criminal justice system in Chicago was paralyzed. It could not move. Al Capone was beyond the reach of the law.
There was one man whose single goal in life was to get Capone behind bars. State Prosecutor George Johnson. Johnson intends to wear Capone down. Again and again, Capone faces losses from large-scale raids executed by security forces. Capone feels the noose getting tighter around his neck. Capone threatens to kill Johnson's family, and they are given police protection, allowing the prosecutors to carry on with their investigation. Their new strategy is to charge Capone with tax evasion, and indeed they finally find something. They calculate that between 1924 and 1929, Capone evaded a total of $215,000. For Capone, there is no way out, and in October of 1931, he is charged with tax evasion. Al Capone still believes he is untouchable, but the indictment is watertight. At the end of the trial, George Johnson, in his final speech, succeeds in destroying the Robin Hood myth Capone has created. The jury agrees with the prosecution. Capone is found guilty of tax evasion. The numerous capital crimes carried out by his organization were never mentioned during the trial. Nevertheless, the king is brought down. 11 years of prison are waiting for him.